The Friday Nightcap is still with us. Next week, Time Magazine is announcing their Person of the Year. But our question is, who is your MVP of the year? And I want this Nightcap crew to go around the table and tell us. Evan, you are first. First, are you growing your hair out? I've noticed it.
No, it's raining today here in lovely New York.
Like
I got kind of.
I'm just going to say your look is my MVP.
I'm trying to give it a little shaggier.
I like it. I like it. I like it.
Yeah. I once called a bear of a man in a Vermont newspaper.
It's weird. I've been called that same thing.
I actually believe that. Yeah.
Okay. Your MVP of the year.
Well, I was thinking about this. We're talking about Time Magazine and Time Magazine picking their Person of the Year. I went back in like 2006. They did this weird thing where they put like a mirror on the cover of the magazine and were like, "You are the Person of the Year." And then people made fun of it, thought it was really stupid. But looking back on this year, this has been a year where regular people, voters, have really surprised everybody who's in charge a ton of times. We talked about abortion. The way that's gone has been really surprising to people. We talk about the rise in this protest movement around this war. That's been very surprising to people. We talk about a lot of other things that are going on. The elites and the people in charge just seem very disconnected from the people
labor force in this country.
The labor
movement itself,
hugely surprising to people, like what happened, how they were able to win so many concessions, get so much that they wanted. So I think that this is really a moment where the most interesting people in America right now are the people of America. So I would say you are the Person of the Year.
Think about those small groups, right? That small group of women in Ohio who pulled together and what they did in this last election.
All these other places all over the whole country. It really is like, I've never seen it this disconnected before. And I think that really the main thing about that is how it's driving politics in a way that people don't really know what people want. And I think that that's really gives a lot of power to voters that they had never had before.
All right, you're up.
If it were up to me, Stephanie, every year the Person of the Year would be Lady Gaga, but that is not who I think it's going to be. I think this year it will be Taylor Swift, who is everywhere, anywhere, the most powerful woman, I would say, in many sectors, not just pop music. I think she has more power over young people than some world leaders, whether that is getting Ticketmaster, or rather Congress to have Ticketmaster in a hearing, whether that is selling out stadium tours around the world, whether that's having like 10 top singles in the Hot 100. And I think we're just going to continue to see her power grow. And I want to say that it's been really exciting to see a woman who is being covered with such adoration, especially when you think about how women and female pop stars were covered in the 90s and the early 2000s.
Even the way she was in the early 2000s.
She's dealt with her own misogyny and dealt with her own scrutiny for things that don't matter, that are just ridiculous. And I hope as she continues to grow with her power, that we as journalists continue to look at her in a fair and balanced way, because there's no one I can think of that is more powerful among young people than her. And I think she deserves to have fair and balanced scrutiny as the most powerful person.
Young people, you don't think Dan Nathan is a Swiftie? I assure you,
bring it.
He is.
Swifties have no age.
Because Cameron, that was also my MVP of the year.
No, it was?
Yes, it was.
Oh, my God.
Amazing.
And let me tell you why. So you just spoke about this pessimism that is pervading, a lot of thought, at least social, among young people. And I have two young people, an 18 and a 20-year-old, both daughters in my home. And I look at the joy that she brings them. I look at each night as Taylor is a new concert, and she's doing the surprise songs, and just the sort of connectivity and the community that's been created.
And she's so smart.
And the positiveness about it, I think, is really important. So to me, I've noticed that in my own life. I've noticed it around. We went to Chicago. I think she single-handedly kept the U.S. out of recession this year.
We went to Chicago
to see her at Soldier Field with my daughter. So yes, it was. So listen, good for her. Good for you.
And in her free time, she's registering people to vote. All right, who's your pick?
Taylor Swift, right? You gotta say it. You gotta say it.
No, I'm disappointed that I didn't have the same one as you did. I'll just have to shake it off. But
oh my God.
All right, give it to us.
My person is not an actual person, but it's a facsimile of a person in some circumstances, which is AI.
It's a force.
It's a force. There's been no topic that has cut across so many different lines. In journalism, we're alternately intrigued and terrified. In every other single industry, in politics, this is the conversation that we have everywhere. It has the potential to have a huge impacts, positive, has the potential to magnify some really negative developments that are going on. There's a portion of people that think that it will usher in the end of human existence on the planet, which doesn't seem to be likely. I think that's a little overstated. But even the kind of turbulence that happens at one company, at OpenAI, winds up being news everywhere.
I think you might actually be right. I think Time Magazine might choose AI, but I did not.
Will AI write its own bio then?
Yes, AI will write its own bio.
Write its own article.
Okay, but that is not who I chose. I have two. The MVP of my heart is Tommy DeVito, the new quarterback for the New York Giants. Why? Because he proudly told the media this week that he is living at home with his parents and has no plans to move. Why? Because his mother makes his bed, does his laundry, and every time he walks in the door, she has chicken cutlets waiting for him. If that is not the most North Jersey, Italian-American hero ever, I don't know what is. But my true MVP in my head everywhere has to be the one and only Dolly Parton this year. Yes. Last month, she released another album, Rockstar. It was filled with a who's who list of the biggest names in music. Paul McCartney, Elton John, Lizzo. And she's not just a musician. We need to remind our audience, this woman funded COVID research. She's given over 200 million books to children. She's got her own bald eagle sanctuary. And last week, just when my whole family was gutted watching the Commanders go down, she performed at the halftime show for the Dallas Cowboys, dressed as a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. She looked extraordinary in every way. She is extraordinary in every way. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you are on. Dolly Parton is a national treasure, and we can all agree that we love Dolly. Jelani Cobb, Evan McMorris-Santoro, Callan Rosenblatt, Dan Nathan, thank you all for being here. I don't care if Time Magazine chooses her. I choose her forever.